What's going on, guys? So this week, starting out with the new videos that I lost, so I wanted to get into a little bit more detail about a few videos that I already had, but this time I'm gonna really get into a little bit more detail about the first step. So that's what I'm working on today, is the very first step. So on the first step, guys, the most important part when you learn to move and shoot is that first step. And what do I mean by that first step? That first step, you wanna make sure that you're on target, you're ready to pull the trigger, and as soon as you start to move that foot to take that exit is when you pull the trigger. And I'm gonna tell you why it's very, very important, because as soon as you take that first step, that is when you exit. That is when you start shooting between steps. As soon as you take that first step and pull the trigger, that means every single time you take a step, you'll be able to pull the trigger in the air. That way the gun is floating. So what the goal is to be moving and shooting on steel or paper or anything. And the easiest way to control that is by shooting between steps. So let's get into it, guys. So I'm gonna get into this video a little bit where I'm gonna get a lot more detail into the footwork. So I want you guys to really pay attention to my exit when I leave a target. When I start to leave this piece of steel, you're gonna start to see a big difference in my footwork. Where I start to leave, what I want to do is I want to draw, get on sight, get on target, and then take that step and pull the trigger at the same exact time. If you pull the trigger as soon as you raise your foot, the very next shot is going to give you a shot in the air. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go really slow. I want you guys to really pay attention to when the shot goes off and when you can hear, when you watch the footwork and listen to the sound at the same time as I take that shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with a timer, just so I have something to go off of. Here we go. So dead center in the middle of the steel. Dead center in the middle of that steel. Here we go, one more time. Watch the footwork. Let me move to the center here a little bit so you can see the footwork a little bit better. So I'm in my normal stance. I don't change any of that. I don't change any of that. So as I take that first shot, I'm gonna draw, get on sight, take that shot as I'm leaving. So as soon as that foot raises, I'm out the door, right? As soon as that foot raises, I'm out the door. Here we go, one more time. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and run all 5 pieces of steel. As I shoot this drill, I'm gonna run all 5 pieces of steel. So here we go, let's see what we can do. I should be just a little bit over 2 seconds on my first run because I'm not gonna push it as hard as I can. All right, all I'm trying to do here is just get this down and get the movement down and get the feel down. Every time I take a step, it's going to move me in front of the next piece of steel. I should never have to move my gun, ever. As I take a step, it's gonna put me right in front of the next piece of steel, so I never have to move that gun. I never have to transition anything. It just does all the work for me. So this way I can keep my triangle the whole time. So here we go. I'm gonna run all 5 this time. So 5 yards. 5 yards gained with 5 steel down. My total time was 2:59, and I didn't even push it that fast. I can go faster than that. That was my first actual run. The first shots that you saw earlier were me actually pulling the trigger on my warm-up when I was showing the first step. The goal here is to take a shot between step. So I'm gonna go extremely slow, and I'm gonna show you the difference. I'm gonna show you where I shoot 4 pieces of steel, run over to that mark, and shoot the 5th one. All right, so here we go. All right, total time was 4:13. 4:13. So now I'm gonna run it where I run the entire thing on the move. My total time was 4:13. I had splits on the steel of, my draw was 125, 0.28, 0.27, 0.31, and then a total time of 2:02 to get to that far right-hand side. So it took me 2 seconds to exit from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Now, I'm going to move and shoot on the entire thing, and I'm going to walk, all right? So remember, the original time on the standing and shooter was 4:13. I'm literally going to walk across here. I'm not even gonna run. Here we go. So I missed that last piece of steel just on the right side. My total time was 292. 292, guys, was my total time. So I just shaved off over a second and I walked. I didn't run, I didn't push hard, I just walked. All right, here's a couple of details about this that you really need to pay attention to. The first step is what decides your pace, because you're not transitioning, you're not moving the gun. The first step is what decides the pace that you're gonna shoot at. So if I push off extremely hard here, and I want to get to the very end extremely fast, and I want to really get aggressive and rip that trigger and take those steel out really, really quick, depending on how hard I push off on that first step is going to be what decides how fast I run the stage. And there's a reason why. Because my feet aren't getting super wide on the step, right? If I don't push off hard, now I'm taking bigger steps to get to the end, and I don't want that. I want to keep my feet tight. I want heel to toe so that if my timing gets off, I'm still not driving the gun down really, really hard. So let's run it one more time. And this time I'm going to push off extremely hard, and you're going to see a time difference here. So my fastest time so far was 2:52. All right, I had a 2:52 was my fastest, or 2:56, something like that. I'll have to look and see. But I know it was around the 250s, and that was one of my first runs where I didn't really push hard. So now I'm going to push off extremely hard and try to rock this thing to where I can actually go fast and get over there within closer to 2 seconds. Here we go. Again, the key to this, guys, is that first step and getting on sight. If you're not on sight on the first shot, you're not going to hit the rest of them, because now you're trying to find that dot or find those irons. .230 was my total time, all 5 hits, with a 121 draw. The draw is important here. Getting the gun out, getting on target extremely fast, but it doesn't really matter that it's a sub-second draw, because the goal here is movement, not standing and shooting. I don't care about having a sub-second draw if I make up the time on the movement, all right? Again, I make up time because I'm consistent and of accuracy. I'm able to get on that target, and I shot every single piece of steel on the move, and I never had to transition my gun. Every step was a trigger pull. So let's do it one more time here. One more time for consistency. So I'm at 230. I'm gonna push extremely hard now and try to go even faster. I think I can get this under 2 seconds. I missed that second steel. 217. 217 is my total time, guys, but I missed that second steel because of the push-off. I just wasn't ready and aggressive enough on that trigger. I just missed over the top right-hand side. I started to dip down a little bit. I felt it. I don't know until I watched the video, but I really dipped down on that and felt it that time that's what I did wrong. So again, guys, this is the point of this drill. It's that first step. So the first step is so important. Once you get the first step down, you use it on every single exit from this point on. You use it on the second shot of every single target that you leave on. Every piece of steel you can leave on that now, because you're already on sight, you're already on target. So as you pull that trigger, so let's just say I come in and I enter in on a piece of steel here. I want to exit on the second piece of steel. So I'm going to enter on the first one, shoot it. I'm going to shoot the second piece of steel to exit. All right, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to run in. As I get into the fault line, I'm going to shoot the first piece of steel, and I'm going to exit on the second piece of steel. All right, here we go. You see how I took that first step and I leaned out? That's the first step. That's the first step. Now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to stop, completely plant my feet, and leave on the second one again. Here we go. This time I'm going to plant my feet as if I had all these extra shots. All right, gun out. Here we go. Right there, first step, exit, pull the trigger at the same time, I just gain two seconds on everybody else. Guys, I want you to realize something about this drill. I just shaved off over 2 seconds from standing and shooting to moving. If you can't go as fast as I can, I walk this stage, I walk this drill and still saved a second compared to standing and shooting it as fast as I could. That's how important that first step is, guys. That's why I wanted to redo this video. I know everybody's been kind of asking me a little bit about how this drill works and how to get a little bit more detailed. I finally had time, since I'm out here all day reshooting a bunch of videos, to get you guys out. But here we are. First step, guys. This is one of your drills to use, 5 pieces of steel, so you don't have to go pick it up a bunch. You don't have to paste. This is a great drill. It's either you hit it or you don't hit it. Remember, a couple of keys about this drill. The first step timing is really important. You want to draw first, get on sight, then step shoot. Step shoot. As soon as the foot raises, you start to pull that trigger. Number 2, you don't transition with your gun. You don't transition with your upper body. You transition with your entire body. Every time you take a step, it's pull, pull, pull. Your body will put you in front of the next target. You do not have to move your gun. If you find yourself shooting the steel faster than when you get to the end, that means you're transitioning too soon. You gotta move your feet faster to get in front of the piece of steel. All right, you gotta move your feet. You gotta move your feet. All right. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in those comments, and I'll see you on the range.